So if you had to choose between $40,000 in funding, fast no-doc funding, and let's just say 30 days, or $120,000 in no-doc funding, but you had to wait 6 months, same institutions, which would you choose? You're making that decision every time you put in an application for a credit card or a loan with any financial institution. You're deciding, especially once you're making your second attempt for applications at the same institution or another institution, you're making that decision every single time, and it's either costing you a ton of money or it's costing you approvals in the first place. Let me give you some context around this. Banks and lenders are constantly screening on high-risk clients, people trying to do business with them that are demonstrating high-risk behavior. One of the most unattractive features you can show a financial institution is credit seeking. It's basically the concept of applying for too much at one period of time, too fast. Banks have a ton of application rules that we have learned over the years and recent years all over YouTube and all over the internet, talking about various application rules that basically limit how many applications you can do within their institution and how many applications they're comfortable approving you at with other institutions. What many of you miss is that you think this is based around inquiries exclusively, and it's not. Credit seeking can be discovered a multitude of other ways. There are various underwriting metrics I constantly talk about on this channel. You hear me cover some of the most unorthodox underwriting guidelines on this channel constantly. I talk about spending habits and all kind of other stuff that most people don't pay attention to in the finance space because I have personal financial experience with institutions, but I also do this for a living. I'm in financial services as a banker for a living. I take applications, I watch denials come back in, I watch approvals come back in. You as a high-risk borrower, they have dozens of ways of measuring if you have credit-seeking behavior. And if you are under the impression the only way that they know you're doing business with other banks is through inquiries, you are sadly mistaken. Banks are well aware of when you're doing business with other institutions and on what level you're doing business. So, American Express will allow me to get 2 cards in 30 days according to such and such. So I'm gonna go out and apply for 2 cards in 30 days. Why? If you don't have a strategic plan that is guaranteed to give you a strong investment or return, why are you so aggressively applying for credit? You can technically get 2 cards in 30 days with Amex and so on and so forth with each financial institution. But the return on that second application is gonna be notably different when you apply before they even give you the first statement on the first card. Your second application, even if approved, and you will never know it, but they're gonna give you significantly less than they would give you if you waited 90 days, 150 days, 180 days, giving time for them to monitor your financial behavior, what they've already extended you before you start to bet or force them to bet on you again. This is patience. It's not passive, it's patience. Understanding that financial institutions want to do business with people who are not desperate to do business with them because they're looking for stable growth. Financial institutions, credible ones, are not looking for explosive growth. They're looking for steady returns. And so when they're looking at your financial report card, financial behaviors, they're looking to see if you have stable, consistent behavior. Just because American Express, Chase Bank, or any other institution may allow you to apply for more credit in a short window of time or credit limit increases in a certain window of time does not mean you need to play that game down to the day, to the minute. That's not what that means. You need to have a strategy in place and you need to do your best to build relationships with banks strategically, and you need to learn to build out infrastructure between applications. What do I mean by that? This is gonna be probably the biggest golden nugget in this video, so pay attention. When I go through my app sprees with various institutions, especially at this point on the business side, I'm spacing them out beyond what they would have let me apply for one. Meaning, if they tell me that application rules say that I can apply for another card in 30 days or 90 days, I'm waiting 4 to 6 months. When I go back to that same institution to apply for something else later on, if I didn't have a website for my business, I have a website now. If, I didn't have a business phone number at the time and they still approved me, when I came back, I have a business phone number now. Like, I have more infrastructure in place. Maybe I paid down debts on the personal side that I had at the time they approved me the first time, but it's gone when I go back the second time, or it's significantly reduced when I go back the second time. The financial metrics they're measuring me by when I go back to them are improving. So what do you think my second application is gonna look like versus yours? You go back in that same 30 days where nothing has changed. You're the same person. We're in the same institution, same financial metrics, at the base, but I made improvements to my infrastructure and you stayed the same and applied early. You're gonna get $5, $7, $10,000 if you're lucky. I'm gonna get 15, 20, or 25. Guaranteed. Credit seeking behavior has a myriad of ways that it can pop up. Constantly checking for pre-approval offers or checking spending limits on cards. These are indicators that you may be looking or to show unhealthy behavior. Very important that you understand these different things. When you're doing business with these banks, they have, especially these larger institutions that have all this technology and infrastructure, whether you like it or not, they have the ability to gauge us on levels we don't even realize. They have the ability to pull reports and background checks that are much more in-depth and denser than we can get our heads around. So you can imagine what they're looking at when you're using their products. Very important for you to understand, just because content creators, and we may put out information about all the different application rules, and we may tell you technically how soon you can apply for things, that doesn't mean that that's the strategy you should run with. We're just giving you a baseline. We're not telling you to run out and blitz these banks because you look desperate. And gentlemen, I don't know if you noticed, but desperation don't look good on us. Be patient. Whatever they approve you at, use it effectively. Use it in a way that's healthy, that they're gonna want to continue to extend to you. Be patient enough to see what they do. Be patient enough to see if they give you a new pre-approval, if they automatically increase your credit limit versus you immediately going for the first credit limit that you have the ability to apply for based on the application rules. Oh, I can apply for a credit limit increase within 90 days. Chill out. Maybe at the 4th or 5th month, they may give you one. You know what I mean? Which is a totally different scenario when they're extending credit to you versus you going after it all the time. Allow them to come to you. Allow them, be patient enough for them to come to you. And when you go back to them, have better infrastructure in place. Have something better than what you had when you applied the first time. Something. I have reached my 6-month credit limit increase limit or time frame with Navy Federal on my flagship card. Currently that limit, I believe, is at $22,000 if I'm not mistaken. And I believe it's been about a month that I've been beyond my 6 months. And it's very strategically important for me because when you look at the comparable credit component, if I can get that limit to $29,000, $30,000, then that improves the next time I go for my business funding, that just improves my comparable credit. So it's a very strategic, I have a purpose for it. I don't need the $30,000 on that card individually. My spending is not that high on that card, but it's gonna go a long way for my business fund. That having been said, I could have applied for it and probably have gotten it 30 days ago. I'm not pushing it. I'm constantly improving financial metrics at Navy Federal. I am constantly improving my financial profile that they're gonna pull up. So when I go, I have the highest chances possible of getting an instant, non-pending application approval for whatever the maximum they're willing to give. I'm positioning myself for that. And I'm telling y'all to be conscious to do the same thing. When you have the opportunity to grow with these institutions, stop showing desperation. Allow these banks to show you how they are. Allow them to give you the credit limit increase every now and then. Allow them to mail in or email you a couple pre-approval offers that you didn't have before. They're gonna let you know if they like what you're doing or not. This is gonna save you time, and this is gonna improve your limits, rates, and terms on cards, as well as rewards. Because you notice like Amex, they'll blacklist you from even getting reward bonus offers on cards if you got too much going on at one time. So be mindful. Please think about, how you are being perceived by these institutions when you're applying for. Keep this in mind. So all my pioneers, welcome back. To my new viewers, welcome in. I want y'all to comment down below. If you're at a stage where you're applying for multiple institutions, let me know the results you have and let me know what kind of behavior you've demonstrated. Have you been applying back to back at different banks or just wiping the inquiry off and then running back to these different banks? Let me know what the experience has been. Have you gotten great limits? Have you gotten disappointing limits? Have you gotten more declines? Let me know what your experience has been when applying for these different institutions, or what your plan was if you haven't started that process but plan to start that process. Just keep the conversation going down below. Other than that, I want y'all to stay focused, stay in motion. I'll see y'all soon.